Hey guys, Richard here. We are back in the luxurious accommodations of the Red Carpet Inn in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and talking about Matthew chapter 4. I actually tried to get these videos posted the other day, but they were too long. Way too much stuff in these chapters to put them into one. One of them was 18 minutes, the other one was 22 minutes, and I thought, oh, this is not going to work. So we're going to break these videos down into sections within the chapters so that we can make them shorter. And I can actually upload them onto YouTube, and it won't take hours and hours, and then you guys don't have to sit there and watch 25-minute videos. Hello. But anyway, so here we go. We're on our 50-day challenge. I hope you guys are doing good in the challenge. Today is actually day 11, Matthew chapter 11. Did mine this morning, and I hope you are on track with yours. This is a great walk through the Gospels, which our pastor asked us to do from the pulpit last week. So this is great. This is a great way to stay in the Word, to get in the Word if you're not already there, or to increase your time. And I'm finding that journaling this stuff down is actually helping me and getting it down on the inside of my heart even more. And then doing these videos, this is great, because faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God. So let's get started with Matthew chapter 4. This is where Jesus was led out into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. Hey, guess what? If the patterned son's going to be led into the wilderness and tempted of the devil, what do you think's going to happen to us? Hello. Anybody been tempted lately? I have. I know if you're breathing, you've been tempted lately. So this is how Jesus handled this temptation. And we need to be watching Jesus as the patterned son, because if he dealt with temptation this way, this is how we need to deal with temptation. So I'm going to go to the Word. I'm going to read it right out of the Word of God. In Matthew chapter 4, it says that the tempter came to him and said, "If you be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread." And he, that's Jesus, answered the devil and said, "Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God." That is a powerful statement. It's the Word. Jesus is the living Word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. That will sustain you. It'll sustain you in a fast. It has sustained me in a fast. I've actually gained weight in a fast because I was in the Word, and people say in the natural that, oh, that's impossible. Let me tell you something. With God, all things are possible. And we have to believe, because all things are possible to he that believes. So, fasting will sustain you. Jesus was in a fast at this time in the wilderness. What does that do? It allows you to hear God. It allows you to bring your body under subjection, and it sharpens up your spiritual ear to hear God. And Jesus knew that his bread at the time was not physical bread, and he didn't need to command stones, even though he might have been hungry. He didn't need to command those stones to be made bread. He needed to live off the Word, the living Word. He needed to live off the Word of God that he knew would sustain him. Very powerful picture. We can do the same thing. When I have fasted and stayed in the Word, I didn't hunger. When I got out of the Word, I hungered. So it's powerful, and you can do that too. It'll also build you up. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word. I'm having more faith just doing these videos. I'm staying in the Word, and because of that, I get stronger and stronger. So if I'm tempted, I can use that. I can use that, draw off that strength of the Word to fight against the enemy. The next thing that the enemy says, he took him up into a holy place, he set him on a pinnacle, and he said, "Hey, why don't you just cast yourself down? His angels are given charge concerning thee, and in their hands shall they bear thee up, lest at any time you dash your foot against a stone." What's Jesus' response? The Word of God. And he says, "Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God." Now think about that. You know, a lot of people, they get off into situations, and they think that they're acting out in faith, when actually they're tempting God. We have to stand on the Word and not tempt God. So what do I mean by that? I mean, you don't just, if Jesus had just cast himself off the pinnacle, off the building, that just wouldn't have been too smart. That would not have been wisdom. If something accidentally had happened, if things were going, his angels are given charge over us to keep and protect us in all our ways. But if you do it on purpose, that's tempting God. And Jesus turned right to the enemy and said, "Hey, I'm not going there. I'm sticking with the Word. I'm sticking with wisdom. I'm sticking with what God the Father is showing me to do." And because Jesus said very specifically, I do nothing except the Father shows me, and I say nothing except I hear the Father say it. And we need to learn from that. Because if we walk along that same path, even when we get tempted, we're going to be standing on solid ground. So what happened after that? Again, the devil took him up into an exceeding high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and said, all these things will I give you if you'll fall down and worship me. And Jesus turns to him and says, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Now, I went to look that up, because if he says it is written, it's written somewhere in that Old Testament. I couldn't find thou shalt worship the Lord anywhere. But in Deuteronomy chapter 6 and Deuteronomy chapter 10, multiple places, it says very, very clearly that thou shalt fear the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. What does that mean? It means that Jesus interpreted the word fear from the Old Testament, that we read fear or reverence. He interpreted that as worship. And that is a pretty powerful thing. If you tie the two of those together, I really want you to read Psalm 25, 9 through 14. We're going to actually get into that a little bit more when we're doing some of the later chapters here, but especially in Matthew chapter 5 when he's talking about the Beatitudes. There's some of that stuff about meekness and the meek that will inherit the earth. In Psalm 25, 9 through 14, it says, those that are meek and fear God, he will show them his covenant. That's powerful. God will show you his covenant just by being meek and fearing him. It's a super, super powerful thing to know. So, bottom line, what do we need to do? We need to get in the Word. Like he told Ezekiel, son of man, eat the scroll. Get it down on the inside of you. Ezekiel said, I ate the scroll, and in my mouth it was like honey for sweetness. We need to get that Word down on the inside of us, so that when we get tempted, when we get pinched, when we get squeezed, what comes out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. When you get squeezed in a tight situation, if the Word of God, if you've been putting the Word of God in your heart, what's going to come out? The Word of God. That's how we fight the enemy. So thanks for being with us on this video. It's awesome. It's going to be a great journey. Hope you're doing well on the 50-day challenge. This is the first part of chapter 4. And I know you guys are just gonna rock this. It's awesome. So we love you. We care about you.